Hello and welcome to my Growth Club. We're excited to have you here. This is the second episode of our podcast.
Yeah.
We are your hosts. My name is Emmanuel.
And my name is Grace.
And we are your partner in growth and effective living. Today we have wonderful things to discuss with you and to share with you. So this is something that I am very passionate about. It took us a long time, especially working on this. We had to synthesize so many books. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, we share in the journal when people get them, like some of the books and lessons we got from them. We had to reread the Bible and discuss a lot of, like especially the New Testament, the teachings of Jesus, and synthesize all those teachings. I mean, you hear people say so many things, and sometimes you want to ask, what are you saying?
What do they really mean?
You know, exactly. And I think that's the skill of communication.
Yeah.
What are you, your ability to listen and your ability to know exactly what the person is trying to communicate is essential. Yeah. So that's what we wanted to do. Yeah. And so like we apologized yesterday for how boring the conversations were. But I mean, I think they were life transforming.
Very life transforming. It wasn't just books. We listened to a lot of podcasts, like movies, right?
Goodness.
And trying to just understand where they are arriving at. And I think it's just been very crucial to this.
Yeah, this journey. It's been wonderful. And that's one of the things that I want us to talk about today. Some of the things that we've built into this journal. Like I said, this is not your usual journal. No. This is different. This is a tool. This is your personal therapist. Yeah. I'm not against going to therapy. Please go get professional help. But this is your thinking buddy. This is you. This is your second brain.
Your second brain. You're able to engage yourself. Like
exactly.
Engage your mind. Look at the mirror. I've actually engaged my mind in ways that I didn't ever think. You know, it's brought out so many experiences. We will share them along the way, but I've engaged my mind like I haven't done ever in my life. Yeah.
And we had to confront the way, the mental picture we had about a good life. And we shared that a bit in the first episode. Like what we're showing on the screen right now, this mental picture doesn't serve anyone well. No. Well, the people that seem to find fulfillment, they keep going. And some people just enjoy, they see that to be a good life. And I think it's a very typical thing. Yeah. Why we had to throw this away, even as a couple, is because, again, this takes out the essence of the things. It takes us the why behind what we are chasing and what we are doing. And
it's as though it was like a formula work, right? From one thing to the other, chasing the
kind of being programmed, you know, to follow. And you find yourself in this rat race sort of thing, and it's like there's a cheese at the end, and you cannot tell what this cheese is, and you want to get out of it. It's like, no, we can't live like this. This is not a good mental picture of the life we want. And so we needed to then say, I think the difficulty was with knowing what to love, knowing what to value, you know, knowing where to focus, knowing how to live this life. It's like, okay, all these people have lived this life, right? Okay, 100 billion people, right? Okay, so how do they say we should live life? And to my shock, it's like, who is counting and who is writing them down? Like, you know, people have books, so you go look for them. And so we went and then we did that. And I thought we needed to kind of share in a way that is easy for everybody to understand. And I see like this better mental image we are showing right now, even on the screen, how this is going to be helpful to even schools. A lot of times schools don't know what they are trying to achieve with people, individuals and families. And I say this, I call this the state of flourishing. Ideally, I feel that this is what people, like the people that have lived with essentially great believability, like Jesus, like perhaps Solomon, you know, most of the great writers. There is a research I shared in the first episode about Harvard research, the longest study on human happiness and a good life and how it points to relationship. People that I've read from like Ray Dalio, a lot of books that I've read. I think that what many people are trying to share is what we have rightly condensed into this model.
Yeah.
And I think I am hoping really people find them useful. Like, because it begins with love, the heart set of love. Yeah. Like love in our heart, pursuing love. Like this is what people are saying. Love is sort of the essence of this life, really. Okay. And if you listen to the teachings of Jesus, a good man out of the good treasures of his heart brings forth good things. An evil person out of the evil treasure of their heart bring forth evil things. He's saying to us that what you value in life matters. Yeah. It's why you do what you do, essentially. It's why you feel the way you feel. Yeah. We've talked about how, like, both of us support, and I think it's a terrible thing. We both support Golden State Warriors, and we love watching them play. They are breaking
my heart this season.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go there. And we love watching them play. Yeah. And I've seen instances where we had to stay overnight and past our bedtime just because we had to watch them. And because we're in a very different time zone, I'm like, why are we doing this?
So 1 a.m.
Because we want
you remember when I was writing my CPA, I would literally sometimes be holding my book, what's happening?
What's happening?
Oh my God, that's love.
That's love, really. I mean, not to that degree, but that's love. Love means you want to see.
I want them to win. I want them to flourish.
Exactly. Like, and because when they win, you're happy.
You're happy.
Right? You find happiness in their success.
If love was the center of everything everyone does in this world, the world would have been a better place. And Jesus was so right to say, when they asked, what's the greatest commandment? He could have said anything, right? Yeah. But he said, love your God and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah. And when they asked them, that who is my neighbor?
The parable of the Samaritan.
Talked about the Good Samaritan. Yeah. And that means, and the story is such a beautiful story. He says, forget about your race, your skin, you forget about. I'm looking at America right now, and I'm like, God, we're sick. Like we've lost it. We've lost the plot. You know, you find yourself in a world that people have built, and you're clueless why they built things the way they build them, or you are clueless about what is really happening. Like we came to meet schools, we came to meet like churches and stuff like that, and we came to meet stuff, and we think,
let's throw them away.
Or sometimes we actually feel we understand them because we are partaking in those activities, but we don't. Yeah. And so even there's an image like I'm going to show right now on the screen that I talk about understanding the world and and our role in it. Yeah. Because people have no clue what is happening. Yeah. We have individuals, families, communities, schools, markets. I talk about the government. I talk about the media. I talk about social enterprises. I talk about religious bodies. And I kind of connect what is really happening in the world. You know, what these institutions and what's happening from the family, from the individuals. And I think when people get it, they can pay attention to that also, because when you understand the way the world works, then you understand this mental picture that we are showing, you know, and why some of these things are important. Yeah. From love, we talk about the mindset of growth, you know, what we call the growth mindset. Yeah. Basically, the predisposition of your mind towards the perception of a thing. Why do you perceive things the way you do? That's your mindset. Yeah. Like, why do you see a problem and see the way you see it? Why do you see something and maybe see it as a problem or see it as an opportunity? Yeah. Why do you see or hear a feedback and hear an attack or hear an opportunity to grow? That is the mindset. Yeah. And a mindset of growth changes everything.
Yeah. And why do you decide that this is how I am and you are not ready to change?
Right? Yeah. And you want people to sing your praise. Yeah. And you care about people perceiving you the way you
are not. You know?
and in the journal, there's a part where you confront that also.
I feel
you confront it. You're going to confront all of those things because I think people should do that. Yeah. You know, and then you see all the other areas that are important. What I have seen many people talk about is health and wealth, which is right. You know, but what is the connection? Right. And so we looked at relationship, we looked at work and impact, some of the things that people have talked about. Ray Dalio's book on principles, life and work, beautiful, beautiful book. And some of the things that I got in there is essentially what others are also saying, right? But again, they are all over the place that many people don't know how to connect them. Yeah. And so I'm really challenging you.
Yep.
Sit down with this model, look at it very well. I call it a state of flourishing. If you are able to develop these areas in your life, if you're able to pursue love, if you're able to look at like wisdom, such a beautiful thing.
Oh.
We go to school and we don't. What is wisdom? I think wisdom is essentially the
knowing what to do with knowledge.
Basically, yes. It's just about the best application of knowledge or the best use of knowledge. Like, what can I do with this knowledge? But then when you're thinking of life the other way, you're only thinking of, I need to go to school, I need to get a degree, and then you lose sight of what is essential. What you need is wisdom. What wisdom does is it provides the skills. That is, so I even call this the skill set of wisdom, which is like a toolbox. Wisdom provides the skills for your work and for the impact you make in the world. And it also provides the skills for your relationships. So I am challenged, even schools can use this model in that you then can be able to say, whatever education system that we have, does it achieve this? Yeah. Does it offer people the skills to relate to people better? Which I think we've completely neglected. We think schools are only to provide skills for work. That's not true. Right? We need to have that. And then when we get it right, it is going to affect, it's going to have a ripple effect in all other areas. Then values, right? And the connection is so clear. Right. But then we see principles and priorities feeding into values, because that's where we get our values from. That's where we get our values from. And then essentially leads to purpose, which I think leads to fulfillment. So this is a beautiful mental picture that I really encourage people to have. But then the journal itself talks about some wonderful things. Let's begin with just giving an overview of your life, like our life experiences and our learnings. And that's the start. It begins by walking you through your life experiences and learnings. Then it takes you to your worldview, like your core beliefs and your worldview. Then it brings you to your mindset and your perspectives. Then it walks you to your identity and your values. Then it walks you to your habits and your choices. Then it brings you to your actions and the consequences of the actions. Then it brings you to planners and trackers. You know, how to then now plan better and how to track them. And then you have a diary.
This journal is actually out of the world.
It's amazing. And I'm hoping that people get it. So we can talk some of the things that people are going to experience in their life experiences and their learnings. Like there are quite a number of mind exercises in there.
I really loved them. I remember when I did the first one that talked about, you know, what are some of the significant things that have shaped your worldview or that has contributed to who you are. This thing, I don't know if I told you, I don't think I have, but when I now understood why I used to behave or see certain things in a certain way. When I met you on campus, we were friends, right? I knew naturally for me, I know I love people, right? Everything I even do now is geared towards how can I make someone else also better, because I feel like the experiences I have had, the opportunities I've had, you know, it was as a result of the love and care of other people. So I also want to give back. So I know two ways. I know I love people, but when I met you, I thought you were out of the world. My friend Yvonne and I used to call you Jesus Christ because I was like, why? You love everybody. You hate you.
Oh, really? I maybe I try, but I don't think I like it. I love everybody.
I will be honest. I've seen your decisions. For all these years, over 10 years, from friendship to relationship to marriage. You know how you care genuinely about people, and like we said, the way even the world sees love is flawed, right? Loving people genuinely. And I remember I used to, you know, you were there for me, you were there for other people. I didn't have a problem with it until we were in a relationship. Then I started the same thing I was enjoying. I was like, oh, he's a nice person. All of a sudden, I started feeling a bit insecure. And these things came to me again when I was answering the questions.
When you see me provide care
for other people, especially when it came to females, I'm like, you know, the world says that sometimes men and women cannot be friends, but we're friends, and I was enjoying it. But I didn't know why all of a sudden you had not given me any reason. I can say confidently that you will not give me any reason to even behave or see things the way I used to. But all of a sudden I was feeling uneasy. When I was writing, my experiences and the things that have fueled it, then it came to me that maybe growing up, the things I saw, even the movies and things I fed myself with at the time was all drama. In the area where I lived, I never saw, successful relationships.
Right,
good marriages. Even in fact, I was brought up by a single mother. So I never saw like beautiful things. I literally saw people's husbands, people taking people's husbands. Like I saw a wife coming to the area looking for her husband because he was with another woman. So I think all those things had contributed to set it somewhere in my subconscious mind that, oh yeah, he loves me, yes, but why is he showing that,
care to someone else?
And as I was writing, I was confused. I was like, okay, maybe these are some of the things that fueled my actions. I remember I told my best friend Miriam, I think I got the best guy on it, and I stand by that same word as of now.
This is an uncomfortable praise. I don't know why you're doing that.
It's true, but I always told her. But another moment, then when I see something, I'm like, but I mean, now I'm better. I've grown over the period.
Yeah.
But answering some of these questions brought those experiences. I'm like, okay, so these were some of the things that influenced me.
Yeah, and it's good that you confronted your experiences. And I have to also say, even though you're giving me this unnecessary praise, but then I think what we don't also realize is like, think of us like on a big, a broad spectrum. Okay, the good you see in someone, they can also be to the very end of the extreme side of it. And so I think is the intentionality and commitment to growth again that brings them gradually from where they used to be to where they are. I grew up in the barracks. I saw probably worse than you saw because the barracks was brutal. Nobody cares about anyone. But there are things that you're also going to get used to. The things that you're going to see. I saw young women who were bathing and people actually went into their bathroom because it's not even like a shared, like I don't know how to describe the barracks to you.
Oh.
And so I saw things too. And I saw how they actually affected me. But when I went to high school, and I think I had an epiphany one day, there was a conference. This preacher was saying some things. And then I had this, like, why are we even here? What am I doing? Yeah. And so all of a sudden, it triggered something in me that allowed me to start confronting almost everything and questioning everything. Yeah. I probably would say that I had this existential crisis during that time. I didn't think there was meaning to anything. I'm like, why is this important? Why are we doing this? Why? I started asking so many questions. And it was my personal journey with God anyway. But then also I still served God having so many questions. Yeah. I didn't understand. Like nothing made sense to me. And even till date, nothing still makes sense to me. And so I wanted to understand what is the point behind everything. Yeah. So if I have an opinion on someone or about someone, a negative opinion, I'm like, what is the point of having a negative opinion? Okay, what about it? Do I care about the opinion the person has about me? What about if the person also has a negative opinion about me? I'm like, okay, so what's the point? And so like a lot of things were like, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? And that was the beginning of confronting a lot of the things that I had experienced. Yeah. And I also had seen way too many things because my dad worked at DOFSU. And so DOFSU is like, it used to be WAJU, Women and Juvenile Unit. My dad was a police officer, and he will go and arrest men who were abusive to their wives. And he always had a camera. He never wore police uniform, but he's always investigating things and arresting people and questioning people. And he had a lot of books and all these other things. And I used to observe him and what he was doing. And I thought, I had seen way too many women go through way too many rubbish that personally, it made me not want to be in a relationship.
I remember when I met you, you said you would never marry.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I thought, well, I also knew the issues that were bringing most of these unnecessary fights and that were leading to some of this violence, and it didn't make sense. I'm like, why will you fight over this? Like, even though I was young, I was still, sometimes I was like, why would there be a fighting over this? And so it didn't make sense. Marriage was not something that was very attractive to me. I didn't want to get myself in there. But again, I also thought that the underlying reason was because I didn't think people were reasonable. I thought something that we can actually talk about, we fight over,
just get over it. Yeah.
Emotions just get all over the place. And so I wanted to do right. But the day I spoke to you on campus and I heard your story, I came back to you and I said, well, can you continue where you left off? And maybe you may not know why, but the reason is because when I listen to people's story, and I think this is probably the most beautiful thing about them, their story. I listen to all that they've been through. I listen to how they've overcome their challenges. I listen to the decisions that they had to make. And it tells me a lot about them more than they had even really said directly. And so whilst you were talking, I just could tell everything about you. I could tell your values. I could tell the things that were important to you. I could tell your principles. I could tell, and maybe also because I read a lot, so I knew many things quite early in life. And so I will look at you and I will ask you a question, and you never understood why I was asking you the question, but the answer you gave made me, like, it wasn't really like I was putting you on the spot. I'm not advising people to do that. But again, I was more interested in what you valued. What did you value and why? And I was more interested in why you were seeing things the way you saw them, and the way you were confronting things. And that made me change my mind. And I changed my mind quite early, like less than 3 months. I knew I was going to marry you.
I'm so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
You had been an Enoch all your life. And
I think
3 months,
again,
I could change
like I said, it's about what we love.
Everyone should give me the answer.
Again, it's about what we love, right? What we value. And I knew what I valued. And I knew,
so when it connects with the same level of value.
And many people don't realize that. It's like, why are you rejecting that boy? And why do you like that boy? And you think, oh, is this because I don't love them? No, it's not because of that. It's something you don't value and something you value. That's what you're looking for. And so essentially, again, your perception is also part. Sometimes what you value is there, but the way you perceive it, you don't see it. And that is what changed my life. And when we entered into marriage, especially when we were working on this, we had these conversations. And I told you that the reason why, and because I knew your family and I knew your story, I knew what you had been through, I knew the situation, I knew this, like everything. And so I knew why you were doing what you were doing. But by talking about this, and this is the thing. Let me just look into the camera. If you're a couple, do this. I mean, you can create a pod. I know many of you like Love is Blind or stuff like that. Create a pod. You can be in the other room, that let your wife be in the other room, and then take the journal and have a conversation about them. The life experiences start with asking about what is your significant positive moment, and then the ones, and it has these age divisions, so that you are able to look at, okay, at this age, and I say, look at the positive and look at the negative and write them down, or you can have a conversation on them. Some of your positive moment, like significant positive moment, where I think your brain had also associated those moments with the wrong thing. Like, you had always been first in your life, that you didn't know how to be second. Now, I'm not saying how to be last, how to be second.
I understand.
and so everything was like an attack on your intelligence.
My intelligence.
And so I had to always make sure I make you understand that, well, I'm not attacking your intelligence. But then when we did this, I knew that, oh, you were the kind of person who won so many awards that you didn't know that second was also a position that human beings actually take. And
how that influences how hard I am on my sister Ishra. I just sometimes didn't understand why she.
I was shocked. I was like, okay, but we had to like, this is like, again, this is the new trend. Like, we listen, we don't judge version. So when you do this with your spouse, like you do it alone, is also fine. But if you do it with your spouse, this is listen, no judge, don't judge. It's like, I was just blown. And because sometimes our positive moments is what creates. There are people that they just cannot take it if their friends are doing, seem to be doing. I don't like to use doing because there's nothing really like that. But they seem to be doing better than them. They cannot take it because of their experiences in life, and they failed to confront them. And one of the things that I say is this: now, whilst you confront your life experiences, begin to look at the learnings from them. So there is a part where you then begin to answer some questions about your learnings, your life learnings. It's like, and it's so personal. So as you answer them, you realize that, it's causing your brain to bring most of the things that either your brain has pushed to your subconscious and bring it to your conscious mind so that now you can actually fix them. You can rearrange. You can change your thinking. You can renew your mind. When it's so hidden without confronting, I think the whole point of a journal is people need to sit long enough with their thoughts. Many of us don't. We need to think long enough with our experiences. We need to think long enough with our beliefs to question them enough and to find whether they are true or whether there's any basis to them. And then you keep going. You look at some emotional and behavioral reactions that people have. And the reason why this is important is when your experiences create reactions that many times you don't know why you react like that to them. And you've not confronted those. Because you've not confronted those experiences, you keep reacting like that to things.
And sometimes you deny, right? You deny when someone calls it out that, you are behaving this way, but you've not confronted it enough. So, that's not why I'm behaving this way.
Yeah, because we don't want to feel dumb. We behave irrational, but we don't want to be told that we are irrational. And so you have this mental image of a good and successful life part where you now begin to write
what success looks like for you.
Really, like what is success for you? And then think about them. And again, I said, if you're a couple, oh my goodness.
Do it again.
Or you can create a confession box. You don't need to create a poem. Like, you don't need to make it dramatic like a movie or a series. No, just create a confession box. Like, if you're the woman, go into it like a Catholic priest and then let the man be there and then just begin to ask so what does success look like for you?
This part is very critical, right? Because once you are able to put it all out there, you will now come to a point to decipher whether it's the world that has defined success for you. Or
whether you have any idea what you're even looking for.
You are, exactly. Yeah.
So it moves you to your beliefs and your worldview. Beliefs are like the compass and maps that you use to navigate and make sense of the world, right? This was made by Scott Young. And you walk through those ones, you question them. There's a place where you test for truth. I ask about the beliefs that are having the most significant impact on you. You begin to identify false beliefs and limiting beliefs. You begin to walk yourself through. Ideally, what you want to reach is what we call the justified true belief. Essentially, this is what philosophers call knowledge, right? Justified true belief. So you test for them. And you get to see all of those kind of things. For those who are watching on video, you get to see some of these images. There's a part where you kind of interpret your results. Then the mindset. Oh goodness, you confront them. You choose the right mindset. You will walk yourself through it. You will reorient your mindset, and then it keeps going. It keeps going. It's just a beautiful. There are quite a number of these mind exercises that you're going to do. There's a part where you confront your choices. You confront your comfort zone.
About reorienting my mindset, right? When I was feeling this part, I always had the mindset that, I love to cook, right? I kept telling myself, so even if it means standing on my feet for hours, I'll do it. Whilst simple things like maybe something lying on the floor, I'll see it and I'll pass by, right? Because I had told myself that, I love to cook. I am not that organized kind of person.
I'm not this,
I'm not that. But it's just, there's a portion in the journal that say, okay, what steps I have taken to overcome certain things, right? Because I had told myself that, I'm not that organized. It's not like being organized wasn't beautiful to me.
Right.
I saw how you are always, even in our house, you clean the house like 10 times a day.
Yeah, but I barely cook anyway. I don't like wasting
when I'm
time
traveling for 2 days, by the time you wake up, I have made about 10 food. Meanwhile, you're like, you can do all that.
Makes sense. Like 2 days.
2 days with 10 food.
And then when you come back, you're going to cook.
We are going to cook again. But I had told myself, when I saw people back in high school, I saw ladies who were so organized, very neat. It's not like I'm dirty, but to a degree, like how organized they were with their things. And when I was feeling this, I was like, okay, it's just a lie I had told myself. It's linked to the, experiences that we talked about earlier. Growing up, my mom and I had nowhere to sleep. I shared that in my book, Created to Rule. You can get on Amazon. The first time we got a place to sleep, the place was so small. It's like my kitchen. And it's like my current kitchen now.
Right.
Very small.
That's the entire house.
My entire room. It was a wooden structure, no light. We had no chair, no bed. I know people who are watching me who visited that place so they can attest to it. They saw it. We had everything on the floor. Our dresses were on the floor because we can't afford to buy a bag. Our utensils. So we sleep in the same small room with literally everything that we had.
Wow.
So I mean, that's why sometimes you ask me, something is on the floor. Can't you see? It's like my mind. It looks like my mind. I had just told myself that I'm not as organized as you. But as I confronted this, I realized that my mind, there was something in my mind it was more like it was foreign to my mind. Let's say.
Exactly.
It was foreign. It's the same way like language. Our friend Sylvester, right? He went to China and he can literally even stand. Yes, he can speak Chinese, like as though that's where he was born. I realized that if Sly went there and he didn't pay attention to what they were saying, he couldn't have. So if you don't know something, like for me, I felt like I wasn't organized enough. I feel like it was just because I had told myself that was, and it was shaped by my experiences.
It's a limiting belief.
It was a limiting belief, and I wasn't ready to take steps. So in reorienting my mindset, those are some of the things I wrote there. I need to take steps to be able to get out of that mind that, this is not me.
And the kind of steps that you really want to take. Then you kind of go on and confront. I must say that I am proud of you. Like I am so proud of you for how much you have developed. And sometimes I get hard on you, but again, I think about it all the time. I'm like, no, these things don't exist in your brain yet. And you're now connecting them. It's like a child, really. When a child is born, the child doesn't know anything. It will be foolish to expect the child to do things that would take him time to build, those experiences for him to reach that level of growth and development. And so I guess when we do this together as a couple, or probably do it even as individuals, we understand ourselves better. Yeah. And when we understand ourselves better, we're not too hard on ourselves unnecessarily. Yeah.
Give yourself some grace.
And as a couple, you're not too hard on each other unnecessarily because, again, these things don't it's two things. Either the wrong thing exists in your mind, right? The wrong wiring actually exists in your mind. There's something called, I mean, if you follow neuroscience, I think you begin to understand the brain. Everything is just neurons and chemicals and wirings, and it's like everything connected. It's like billions of that connected in your mind. And so what your brain does is to find the pattern. Yeah. And that's how it's making sense out of the world.
That's true.
If something doesn't exist, it's difficult for you may be the smartest person and it still doesn't exist in your mind. It's almost like if you are a business person and you take you to an engineering room. You have no idea. Like if I give you code, you wouldn't be able to understand what is this. You wouldn't be able to understand it because it doesn't. That's the beauty of education and training, and that's why we're calling people to grow. Yeah. Like people need to take steps. You can change. Your brain can change. You can be better, and you can develop, and you can grow. And the way to do that is begin by confronting your experiences and learnings, and then also walking yourself through your beliefs and your worldview. And then it takes you further on to what I call your mindset and perspectives. If you can change that, if you can do something about that, your mindset is so important. Because it determines the way you perceive the world. Yeah. It's all about how you're perceiving things. And then we talk about the identity. Oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite. The identity is Here, there's this iceberg, the identity iceberg. But right under the iceberg, before you go into where the iceberg gets into the water, right under there are two questions that you have to answer. The first question is, this is how I love to be perceived. And this is how I don't like to be perceived. Many people don't realize that essentially what they think they are is not who really they are. It's sitting just right on top of how they want to be perceived and how they don't want to be perceived. Then the bottom part, which is not seen, is why you don't want to be perceived this way, or why you want to be perceived this way. And the more you confront that, the moment you begin to write them down, you begin to realize that, this identity I have is flawed.
It's flawed, yeah.
And then you begin to kind of shape it. There are more questions on how you can actually shape those things up and how you can correct them.
I think people naturally want to be perceived for things that they are not ready to even become.
I think people just don't know what is happening in their head. That's what I think. I think people just don't know what is happening in their head. And I want us to force, that's a terrible term. I want us to encourage people to sit with their thoughts long enough to know what is really happening in there. That we talk about habits and choices. This is very good. The part where you would do developing good judgment. You're going to confront your decisions. Some of the decisions that you've had that you've deliberately given. Sometimes what we do is that we make terrible decisions. We find good reasons to justify them. And then we brush them on the carpet and we keep making those same mistakes. No, you're going to sit yourself down. You're going to be honest with yourself this time around. You're going to confront them. How do I make good judgments, right? Yeah. And then you're going to also, there's a part where there's this escaping the people pleasing.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to confront them. Some of the things you realize that you just are in this trap or not. Yeah. There is also the trap of the fear of failure. Many people don't make some decisions because they fear that they're going to fail. You're going to confront that also, and there are more of those ones also in the journal. And then you do the actions and the consequences. We're going to talk about all of that. I think we are all matured. We are maturing. If you're a young person, this is going to be helpful. If you're an adult, I would love to hear your feedback, because we want to develop this to help as many families and individuals as possible all across the world. I think we have a chance to help people live better and live more effectively by letting them first confront their thinking. As a preacher, one thing that I realize is sometimes I think we fall in the illusion that when we keep talking, people are going to change. What I realize is that people change when they want to change.
That's true.
Easily. Sometimes there are other things that force them to change, but it still comes back to the very same thing. Even when things force people to change, they go back to the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So people only change truly when they want to change. And so my hope is that if they can confront through these tools that we've provided for them, they begin to understand what is happening in their brain. And then now it's easy for them to work on them and take out what needs to be taken out. And so they're going to look at their actions, and they're going to look at the consequences of those actions.
With those actions.
And we give them a lot of planners. There's this beautiful way, and we're going to do this with you guys probably in the next episode, discussing how the next year is going to go and how you're going to do that. But there are planners that you can now plan your year. You can also plan there's a wheel of life, which is going to make you assess where you are and the things that you're not happy about in some areas of your life. And then we're going to look at how we're going to set some goals and plans. There is a research that was done by a university in I think Dominion University in America. I've forgotten whether the school is in California or one of them. And they found out that when people write down their goals, they are 40% more likely to achieve them than those who don't write them down. And so this gives you a lot of planners that will allow you to write. There's a place where you're encouraged to spend one day every week to look at the week. And there are questions that you ask yourself, like, what will make this week productive? So there's Monday to Friday. And then there is also, what will make this weekend restful and fun? We've lost that. We've lost the touch of resting, really, during the weekend. I guess maybe because we thought Sabbath is a religious thing. And so, but we've lost the touch of resting during the weekend and having fun. And so you coming back to those things and asking yourself those questions. And then every day, this journal does not say when you wake up, do it. But it helps you. This journal, the tracker, is more about
how your day
tracking how the day went.
What you
that's
what I love about it.
What you got done during the day. And that is to help you to makes a better,
the next day better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is not necessarily just kind of planning and leaving it, because what's the point if you plan and don't do it? So what I want people to do with the journal is now track what you said you would do.
Exactly.
And it's easy. You can also use it to plan, but basically what you do, so there's a place where you write, okay, today I got these things done, and there are times, and then today I learned this, today I fed my body with this.
That's what I love, because sometimes we even lose track of what we are taking in.
Yep.
You may realize that maybe the whole day what you ate was fully, junk food or something, and it's not a balanced meal. And this, you're able to write everything.
Not track that. Track what you give to your body. Track what you do with your time.
What you spend your energy on.
And at the end of the month, there is a place where you celebrate small wins.
Yeah.
People want to do the big wins, but no, go with the small wins. Like, what did I get done this month? Like, you're able to sit yourself down and do it. And then also you have this part where you track what you did with your money. Yeah, just track that. Just write them down. It's a very simple thing. And this one takes you for just like 30 days because we didn't want it to be bulky. The original one was so big and huge. And so there are two more other journals. One is Declutter Your Mind, and then the other one is Make the Day Count. The Make the Day Count has 365 days. So you can actually use it to plan every day if you want that, but you first get this one. And if it's something that you love, go ahead and make the order for the other two. The other one is a diary, which is more like just writing random stuff down. Tomorrow we will talk about the digital one. Yes. And hopefully you guys find that also helpful. Yeah. And we will share so many things about how to plan your day, how to plan your life. And again, if you're watching this after 28, tomorrow means the next episode. That is episode 3. So please find it on our page and do enjoy. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And really. Thank you, my beautiful wife, for hosting this with me. We'll be back tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.